In my 20s, I knew I wasn't normal per se, however you say it. I knew I didn't want to sit in an office all day. I knew I didn't want to do the 9 to 5, but I'm still doing it to this day. But with going that, I knew there was always more to me. You know, my mind always just, I'd see something and I was like, man, that would be so cool if this happened. 2012, I didn't have too many friends on it. I think I had like 200 on my own Facebook. So I added all of them. And, you know, by the next morning I was getting texts like they're just swearing at me, take me off. Because, you know, back then you couldn't control notifications. So they were just always popping up, and I was posting jobs. So anyway, by the end of the day or the next day or something, I only had like 10 people on there. So I was like, whatever. So I just started posting jobs and I'd find some wherever and just hobby for about a couple months. And then my cousin in Calgary, she said, well, that's kind of cool what you're doing. Yeah, I'll add you as an admin, right? And so I added her, and within a week to 2 weeks, she brought that group from like 10 people to, I think, 500. I was like, wow, this is so cool. And anyway, she just kind of helped me for about a year on it, and then she took herself off, and by then there was probably about 2,000. So it kind of started catching a little viralness, I guess, to it. And by then I didn't really think of it. I just said, okay, there's kind of something getting built here. And I just touch this. There's kind of something getting built here. So by then, within a year, that's kind of when people start giving up, right? Because you're not making any money from it. You're not anything. It's kind of like your own time, right? You're volunteering your time to help other people. So that's why I was looking. I was like, cool, it's not hurting me, you know. I'm usually on my phone all the time anyway. And then, so yeah, I kept growing. And then it grew to 10,000 within a year after a year. So in 2 years, it grew to 10,000. And then I was like, wow, this is something cool. Then I had business approaches me. I had actually one company approach me to buy it from me. And I had no idea what to say. By then I was, you know, you always need money. And I think they offered me like $10,000, somewhere around that, like $1 a person or something. And I was ready to give it. One of my cousins said, don't do it. She said, you're onto something. I said, yeah. I said, but I can start another one. I said, you know, she goes, it's not that, you started that group. It's that group, it's a thing. So I kept, I was like, yeah, whatever, keep it. I was like, shit, 10 grand. But then you look at it, you know, she's like, you know, she said, it'll come back to you in tenfold. You said, you put all this time into it and you know, just keep going. So I was okay. So I did, and I found this software called Meet Edgar. You guys should check it out. It's like it helps you just post on social media. So I got into it, and I post. It grabs jobs or it grabs cars. They're called RSS feeds, and they, you know, I don't know if you guys know what those are. It's like a little code that, you know, if you can grab it and post it somewhere without doing anything. If that makes sense. Anyway, did all the work for me, just posted all these jobs, and then I'd help people, and then people started inboxing me, and, you know, can you find me a job here? Because I was like, wow, I'm not a human, what do you call them? HR? Recruiter? I don't know what the hell that is. And so anyway, people just started inboxing me, and I had the group, and it kept growing and growing, and I had 15,000. As of today, there's 18,000, I think, on there. And so we sat down, my buddy, me, and another buddy, and I said, I want to make a business. And that's how IOPPS was born. We all sat at a table, came up with all this name. We didn't know what to call it because First Nations employment opportunities was too inclusive just to, in the Indigenous world, just to, in First Nations. We wanted to include the Métis, Inuit, all Indigenous people, and everybody, you know, everybody really. There's a lot of non-Indigenous people in that group that use it as well, and they go on my website. So basically just open it up, call it IOPPS, Indigenous Opportunities. Came up with the logo. You can't really see it. So the logo here is an Indigenous person with feathers and around in a circle, and that stands for an Indigenous person running to an opportunity or there's opportunity that's around us, okay? And I apologize, I'm not good at speaking. I fly all over the place, right? So that's how that logo came and everything, and then IOPPS came, and all of a sudden I have a website. So from a job group that I created on Facebook to this, right? So here we are, we have IOPPS.ca, it's starting, and I did it from 2012 to just in the middle of the pandemic, which would be what, 2021? It was just half-assed, we say mamasis, just didn't really do much with it, like just, what's the word? When you do stuff for fun, but it's a hobby. I did it as a hobby, but I didn't care too much about it because I was paying for the software, but I mean, it was doing good, and I'd get a couple companies and they pay for it, so it kind of just helped pay for itself. I wasn't making any money, and still put jobs getting on there, and so I was like, I wonder how I can bring more attention to this. So I started a podcast, and you could start going live. What, 2015? Facebook let you go live.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember reading up about it when they were going to announce we could, and I was so excited. I was like, wow, this is going to change things. And I was already thinking like so far ahead, right? Like 15 steps ahead. My mind again, there's that just running. And so the day you could go live, I grabbed my buddy Gino, my business partner back then, I started this with him. I said, I'm going to go to the mall in Saskatoon. So I'm going to grab somebody, any Indigenous person, or actually anybody. I said, do you want to, I'm going to ask them to podcast, interview. So I remember going to the mall on Center and 8th, and I seen this Indigenous couple. I was like, I gotta go to them. So I ran up to them and said, hey, you guys, this is gonna sound weird. And they're looking at me and they're just, what's up? I said, do you want to get interviewed? And they're like, yeah. Oh, they were looking around like I had cameras with me or something. and I was like, no. I was like, how you can go live now? And they're like, oh yeah, we heard about that. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we'll go live. So anyway, they agreed. It was cool, and so we hooked up they were at their house, and then we brought them on the screen. We used our phone. We just use our phone. Okay, this is very important. This thing is so powerful. This tool is so powerful. You guys know we don't even need this. So we brought them on with our phone, set it up. It was just funny. We were like, I was holding it like this, and then my buddy was on this side, and anyway, people are watching. So that's how I got into podcasting. There's a story behind the podcasting thing. See, I told you I go over the place. I created the podcasting to bring attention to here, right? To bring attention to here. I'll show you guys something. Can I go on?
Yeah. Go right ahead.
I'm going to just show you my YouTube channel. So I created the podcast to bring attention to my website, and then this is my YouTube channel. This is many of the events I've done, and so yeah, a lot of people were, just pals. I did conferences. Anyway, you just see my logo. See this? I don't know what this is. Does this play sound? This is one of mine. Michelle knows this, eh? I had Michelle on my podcast. Anyway, I'm just shooting this shit on here. I'm just updating about my podcast. So, and I was just telling Lisa how powerful live is, eh? So going back to the website, I created this podcast to bring attention to the website. This podcast kind of just started taking on a life of its own, right? So there I am showing the website. Look at that, 7 jobs. There was just, I'm just having fun with it. Eh? But now it's really starting to pick up. But I started the podcast to bring life to my website. The podcast started taking life of its own. I've had Michelle on there. We've done some exercise stuff in the morning, and I've had numerous guests. And actually, this podcast led to me. I was just live on Red Deer TV Shaw and YouTube and all that. We had this big powwow in Red Deer, and I was on it. It was pretty amazing. I was pretty flabbergasted. I was there, honored. But anyway, this is now part of my business. This is like another section of my business. When you get into entrepreneurship, you know, you start with one thing, and all of a sudden 10 other things come, and you're like, you know, you're like, wow, you know, that's just how it is. It just, things just grow and grow and grow, and then it's nice to experience that. And this is part of my journey, learning to do this and podcast. And I also have merch now. I started creating clothing again to bring, everything's trying to push everyone to here, right? I want to get everyone to here, but time I do it, it just starts to become a life of its own, right? So the merch is starting to get popular, and this is starting to get popular. I had somebody just from Manitoba contact me yesterday, also from the East Coast contact me. So now I have 3 sectors in IOPPS.ca. I have, number 1, I have the website. Number 2, I have this podcast per se, live streaming. And number 3, I have my clothing. So I have 3 streams of income, and very proud of where IOPPS is becoming. And I always tell everyone, like, you know, I'm going to be the #1 Indigenous job board within Canada. And I believe that, right? One thing you have to do, you got to believe wholeheartedly in whatever you do. Like, I don't know what background you guys are coming from, what you guys are doing, or what field you're working in. You know, we all have a passion, right? And this is my passion. My passion is bringing showing Indigenous success. You know, I'm so proud to be Indigenous. I'm a half-breed. I'm half Spanish and a half Cree. My mom is from Red Pheasant. My dad is from Oviedo, Spain. But I grew up in North Battleford, and this is the life I know. You know, and you know, in the 80s and 90s, you know, I ain't gonna. And I was like, okay, where's your owner? Okay, he's like, oh, my grandpa's he's coming in. So I was like, okay, and in my mind's spinning. He's like, how can I get a free basket here? So the guy comes in, he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, I see you're selling. He says, oh, yeah. I was like, well, hey, I got no cash. Can I just get a free bucket or something? I'll come back later. He's like, no. I was like, oh, I see you're selling. He goes, yeah. Like, can you show me around? Might be interested. I just said that just as like, I figured in 5 minutes I could have talk to this guy into getting a free basket. Eh? I'm like that though. I'm like that. I can, you know, when I gotta shoot the shit, I can. So anyway, he started blabbing off, and then I'm just looking at his baskets there. He's like, okay, I was thinking in my mind, I want that big basket. And anyway, within 5 or 10 minutes by the end of the thing, I was calling my sister, because he sold me, man. He was telling me how much everything cost. I was like, wow. So within 10 minutes, I was calling my sister. She was just actually at this co-op thing, at the co-op. I said, get down here right now. I said, we're gonna buy this place. So she came down, and she's like, yeah, we're all looking. And then by the end of the night, by 7 or 8 o'clock, the next day, we put in a thing, a price, or what do you call it?
An offer.
And yeah, we got it. And so now, me and my sister own Eston's place there. Yeah, and
who took that over.
Yeah, so that's me and my sister, and we basically, it's for my nephew Eston, who has autism, and that's what we call it, Eston's place. So my sister actually created a popcorn thing for him during the pandemic, because you know, when you have autism, the kids, they don't like to change too much. So they created a popcorn business with him called Eston's Crazy Corn. I said, why don't we just call this Eston's Place, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, so now it's like we push it behind my nephew, and you know, there's a few special needs people that came there and used it this summer. We just took over into July, middle of July, and we kind of opened up from August, all of August, and it shut down in September, just because, you know, it's we all work, but yeah, we're very looking forward to serving the North Battleford community and Battleford and surrounding. We have so many ideas. Finding out working with this city is a holy shit. You're on the res, man, you just do shit, right? You just have fun, and okay, you want to do that, okay, let's do it. When you're on the city, there's a lot of red tape, do this, do that, can't do this, so we're finding that out, and, but we're looking forward to the prime location there. There's so many traffic there. And there's nothing really to do here for families. So we're looking at that, right? There's so much land. I don't know if you guys have driven. I don't know if you guys are all from here, right? But if you're driving on Territorial, you'll see Eston's place and all that land that's cut. That's what we own. We don't own it. We rent it, so we lease it. And I'm gonna just turn this on. What this is. But, yeah, there we go. But yeah, so we own that, and you know, already I've had a million ideas of going live. Right, we did a CP. Who golfs here? So we do CPs. You guys know what CPs are? We did a contest there, closest to the pin. We did a couple holes in the back there and did that for a week, and yeah, that was fun. And we just had a carnival. We called it Eston's Fun Day. So we had bouncy castles. We had a movie at night, and then you know kids could come and hit the balls for free. So it was like $20. You get to do all that for all day for fun, right? So we're really gonna push next year to be family oriented. You know, we're also thinking about adult time. You want some adult time, but at the same time, there's so many families here that need to